Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from deep within the heart of the Spiral Zone, I'll be your host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, he's one of Earth's most powerful soldiers. It's Sean Paul Ellis. How are you, sir?
David. I'm doing well. How about
I'm
yourself?
doing pretty good. Unfortunately, Matt Barron cannot be with us tonight because he's riding the rails as a hobo, so we wish him well. We're gonna offer up a toast. Actually, the beginning of this episode, I think. Before we get into anything, we're gonna offer up a toast, dear listeners. If you, like us, are in your 30s, like listening to nostalgic TV shows, especially the crazy, crazy cartoons that we like to talk about here on the show, but you find yourself parched or in need of a beverage to hold in your hand as you listen to our show, Sean and I are going to offer up some suggestions. So I'll let Sean tell you what he is enjoying tonight, and then I will tell you mine as well.
David, tonight I am drinking a KCCO Black Lager. It is from, evidently, it's made by the same guys who do the Chive. And I have to confess, I have no idea what it is.
Oh, I thought
It
you
was
meant
a
like a chive beer at first. I was like, that sounds terrible.
no. It's a black lager. It's some website called the Chive.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no idea what it is. So I mean,
Kids
I must
today,
confess,
they know.
I'm not sure. Evidently, they do funny videos and photos. I have no idea. All I know, they make a really good beer.
Good.
So congratulations to them. It is like exactly what I want. I don't like black lagers. This makes me love black lagers.
There you go. Well done, folks over at KCCO and the
And
Chive.
the Chive.
Yeah.
And Dave, what are you drinking tonight?
KCCO the Chive sounds like a Kansas City radio station or something. Welcome to
Hey,
KCCO the Chive.
air horn. Beep, beep, beep,
Brr, brr,
beep.
brr. Nobody listens to radio anymore. What am I
Yeah,
drinking? I am drinking an Atlanta brew, Three Taverns Brewery. It is called the Feast Noel. It is that time of year where you should just drink holiday beers and Christmas ales and all kinds of toasty, roasty goodness every week, every weekend, whenever you want. Probably not at work, whenever you want. It's
unless your work is cool with it,
Well,
then
hey
you
man, I
should
mean, if you
totally
work
do
from
it.
home or you just work, in a brewery, that'd be cool too. But
Yeah, take
yeah,
advantage of it.
no, this is a nice. It's a quad, so it's a little warming. It's about a 9%er, but it's nicely spiced. It's got a great nose and aroma to it. But check that one out if you're in the area. I don't know how far Three Taverns distributes, but pretty cool if you're in the Atlanta area. So there you go. There's Sean and Dave's beer suggestions for the Saturday Morning Cartoons podcast. Ooh boy, I guess I will kick this one off. We already told you the
So I mean,
title. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we should like we are talking. Look,
Look,
I should apologize.
we
'Cause,
both should apologize to anybody listening.
here's the thing. All right, sometimes,
Mm,
sometimes we make excellent choices on this podcast.
rarely. It does happen.
Sometimes we make
I mean, it
excellent
does.
choices.
One out of every
Give
30.
us, just give ourselves a little bit of credit here. All right,
Okay.
like sometimes we make excellent choices on this
Sure.
podcast for the show that we're gonna watch.
Hmm.
This week is an exception.
Yeah, this is. There are things to be
Guys,
found in
I
this show, though.
fucked up. I'm sorry. If you, dear listener, are watching these at home, or if you're listening to this podcast and you're deciding whether or not
Ooh,
you should watch this
poor
show,
decision.
I am going to try my best to dissuade you from watching Spiral Zone.
Oh, that's interesting because I'm actually going to tell them to seek it out. I mean, not to pay for it, that's crazy, but to seek
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out because this is something that like I don't remember ever really hearing anything about it. I don't remember the toys. I definitely didn't remember the theme
and
song.
after watching the show,
Yeah.
I understand why you don't
Yeah,
remember anything about
yeah.
it.
Well, but it is one of those weird ones, but it's similar to all the other shows we've talked about where they were like, hey, one season, 65 episodes. That's exactly what this one was again.
Oh
One
boy.
season, 65 episodes. It's strange that must have just been like the template of the time.
So
Um,
here's the thing.
shoot.
Thankfully there is a wiki that
Yeah.
is dedicated to Spiral Zone. It is spiral-zone.com/Tonka, and they have a really great episode guide on all 65 of the episodes
Yeah.
that are available. Now the interesting thing about a lot of these is that a bunch of the episodes, and this is clearly what happens for a lot of these, is that like they're trying to get as many episodes out, so
Right.
they're trying to squeeze as much blood from the stone as possible.
Oof.
And so there are a lot, like towards the end of the run of the show, there are a lot of like clips shows where like they are rehashing like animation from previous
Oh,
episodes
really? I didn't even know that. Okay.
in order to attempt to make some type of like a cohesive narrative.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, as we're about to talk to you about, like the cohesive, like there's a very simple formula that we will get into on how every single one of these episodes uh, unfolds itself.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But Dave, tell us a little bit. I mean, you said 65 episodes,
Right.
one season. Like what else is like who created this clusterfuck of a nightmare?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of history to this background. The story itself of the plot within the show is more interesting, but Sean will touch on that in a second. This was 1987 American science fiction animated series produced by Atlantic and Kushner Lock. I've never heard of them before. I have no idea what else they did.
Yeah,
They haven't
nothing.
popped up on this
There's a
show.
reason.
Yeah, there's a reason for it. But just like many of the other 80s shows, this was based on a toy line. It was a Japanese company toy line. It was Bandai that made the toys. I think Tonka actually picked up the rights to it, if I'm reading that correctly.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they picked up the rights to it a little bit later on. And I'm not going to tell you too much about the plot right now, but that's where this came from. It was a company that wanted to sell toys, and they made the cartoon. That is just like part and parcel 95% of the shows that we've talked about already on this podcast. So that should not come as a surprise, neither
Yeah.
should the quality of this mess. But I'm going to let Sean tell you kind of what the plot was about, because it's different somewhat. They've got some different twists from other shows we've talked about.
Uh, Excuse me. So this takes place in June 18th of 2007. I will say this. The history that they've created with a lot of this is very interesting. It's very specific.
Right.
So a scientist by the name of Dr. James Bent,
Yes.
he hijacks a space shuttle to drop these things that are called zone generators. Across like half of the Earth, and they're called spiral zones due to the shape or like the conical structure that they create once they hit the ground. You later find out that, excuse me,
Yeah,
that
right,
Bent,
everybody want to take a minute and
yeah, no,
take
I'm
over?
good,
All right.
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Um,
Drink that
uh,
KCCO Black Lager. Goes down smooth.
just kills your throat. No, it's delicious.
Jesus. That's the
I,
chive they put in it.
I had a lot of hot sauce on pizza,
Okay.
and so my oh boy, Strasha, delicious, or Frank's Red Hot, delicious on all occasions.
I wish these were
So,
all our sponsors, listeners, but they're not. They're just things we like to eat and drink. So there you go.
so, so people get trapped inside of these spiral zones. They are referred to as zoners, and it like you can tell because they begin to develop like they have like yellow eyes, they get like weird stoner eyes, and they have these like bizarre red patches that develop kind of like eczema,
Yeah.
like giant swaths of eczema over their skins, and so it's just they you lose all like of like your free will
Right.
once you are exposed to a zone. The interesting thing is that once you leave a zone, it goes away.
Totally fine.
Like you're totally fine. Like the cure for this thing is just
Just
not
walk the
doing
fuck
this
out
thing.
of it.
It's like when you go to a doctor and you're just like, I'm having a real hard time like when I drink like milk. Like I feel sick when I drink milk, and they're like, don't drink milk, dum dum. Like that's how this works. Like it's like
Oh, why
saying
didn't I
like,
think of that?
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's such common sense like crap, but you lose your will to be able to do this. And plus, also when you're inside of the zone, like you are very susceptible to influence. And so somebody can like say something to you, and then you will begin to do that
Oh,
thing.
who
Like,
would do something
so,
like that to people?
oh, it would be Dr.
Oh, how
Bent,
about that?
who now becomes known as Overlord.
Because
And so
what?
he
What? Oh,
Overlord,
the
what a
hubris!
fucking name.
This asshole.
Yeah.
My god, the
What
arrogance.
gall?
My
What
goodness.
gall, this motherfucker. So like he begins to build like these like slave army, which you have to think to yourself like if you're enslaving a group of people that basically have like the symptoms of like common cold, eczema, and like pink eye.
Yeah, pink eye basically.
Like
Yeah.
that's a shitty army.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really
It's
shitty
like a
army.
plague army. Which is, I mean, that's
Exactly.
it's worthwhile for some things, but not the best army on the block. That's for sure. There are
Yeah.
no Zone
So
Riders.
so he has Overlord, which is now former Dr. James Bent.
Hmm.
He has a group of followers that are called the Black Widow, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Right.
They are immune to the effects of the zone due to a special device that they all have. In order to combat this problem of the zones, we have 5 soldiers. Now, I want you to think about this. There, it like over half. I'm gonna
Okay.
pause
Let's
like
get
right
yourself
now,
together. Yeah.
like just no, no, it's not. I'm not actually pausing. I'm like taking a knee right
Okay.
now and just thinking about this because it's like, look,
Just gather close, everyone.
over half of the
Hmm.
world has been affected by these zone
Right.
generators, and we send in 5 fucking soldiers. Are you out of your goddamn
It's
mind?
like the Planeteer effect, or like no
Oh yeah.
Mask. Even Mask had like a half dozen or
No,
like a
even
dozen
Planeteers
characters.
had Captain
Oh
Planet, where
yeah,
they were
that's
like,
true.
"Oh, we're gonna summon this like super thing from our
Yeah.
rings." Like, these guys are just like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna pay attention to shit
They're
ever."
just like
Like,
the one volunteer from each continent that showed up and was just like, yeah, I'll
yeah.
totally just ride this unicycle in there and fight stuff.
Oh
Oh boy.
God,
Hey, but you
it's
know what,
so.
Sean? They are Earth's most powerful soldiers. Oh
Oh,
my
you want to take
God,
a knee, buddy?
man!
You
I
want to
should
take a knee?
stop drinking this delicious beer
Hey
from
guys,
Three Taverns.
3 taverns beer will tongue tie the shit out of you.
Ah, they are Earth's most powerful soldiers, and they are Earth's last chance to fight the
So
Spiral Zone.
they are. So here I got into this show because I randomly found the theme song on Tumblr one
Yeah,
day when I was looking at different cartoons and I was trying to find and generate like more cartoons for us to look
right.
at. And I love sci-fi like cartoons to begin with, and so when I saw this, it it made me get reminiscent for Exo Squad.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has
That
that.
I
It's like
there
a
was
weird
there
Exo
was like
Squad meets Centurions kind of crossover. Yeah,
yes, like
which we've talked about both. Oh,
cheap GI Joe,
yes,
like
definitely.
like,
Knockoff GI Joe.
and so
It looks like
I
they took
really.
like characters. They took like a melted character that was a GI Joe, and he became a Zone Rider, and they took like a burned Cobra, and he became a Black Widow, and they're just like, yeah, that'll work.
It's like if this is what I imagine the I imagine Destro to look like Overlord if you were just to remove the
Yeah, his
silver
silver
mask, or
mask.
even
Yeah,
Cobra
yeah,
Commander if you pulled the hood off.
exactly.
Like he'd just look like one of these fucking zoners. Like
Zoners is a
just
derogatory term, listeners, so please don't use that willy nilly.
yeah.
Yeah, they don't appreciate that. Zoners.
so so I got into this cartoon because I think it has a fantastic theme
Yeah,
song, and I think the thing like, I mean, in addition to kind of the the what I posited a while ago, just talking about like the theme song really kind of like sets the tone, it sets the mood, it gives you a little bit of that exposition depending on like how they're going to drop you into the
right.
story. Like if it's going to be something that's like an origin story, like Silverhawks, where they go from pretty much the very beginning of it, or it's going to be like Herculoids, where it just drops you like in media res, like, and you're just like, I have no idea what's going
You're
on. Like
right.
this is like in a world that's existing, and I'm just now privy to it.
Exactly.
So so Spiral Zone, just had a really like solid 80s. I kind of almost like it kind of was like a little bit hair metalish,
It had
and
a
so like
weird, like, kind of rock to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but as Dave and I have been watching this week, we have been singing the
Oh,
theme song
constantly.
and can't get it out of our heads, and so it's very like I think that also. I mean, the theme song doesn't really tell you that much about the show
No, not at all.
at
Just good
all.
versus evil,
Um,
basically. Good guys, bad guys. That's it.
but I mean, when you think about the show, I mean, that's all.
Yep.
I mean, the theme song explains it perfectly. Good versus evil, no substance
Yeah,
whatsoever.
pretty much it. Now,
So
I know
I mean,
Sean's going to do his rendition of this. At least I hope he will. I hope he will grace us with that. Fantastic.
sure,
Thank you so much,
I would
buddy.
love to sing this theme
But
song.
we need to
Have
talk
it tonight.
about the visual of how this thing opens up because Sean and I talked about it before. It's one of the weirdest ways to start a show ever. It's a lot of these shows focus on the villains first, but usually like in the show, not just like with the theme song.
Yeah.
So Overlord himself, I would go so far as to say, with a little bit of grooming, and once you get him out of the zone, he might actually be a fairly handsome fella. He's built fairly well.
Sure.
He's got a bit of a unibrow thing going on.
Oh, super
Yeah,
unibrow.
super. Not
Like
even a bit. Like
I'm,
this thing is like
I
solid. Like
It's like
it's like an
I don't have a
arm.
unibrow, but like looking at him, I was like, "Fuck, I want a unibrow."
You want one? Because
Like
it's intense.
that's a
That is
solid
solid.
unibrow,
It's like a
bro.
second forehead. It's
Oh
amazing.
my
That thing
god,
is
yeah.
that is stopping bullets. That thing.
It's like you are holding caterpillars, like woolly caterpillars, just across your
Yeah,
brow,
you're
buddy.
just
Like
breeding
it
them
is
on your face. Just they're there all
fucking
the time.
fantastic.
And then, so he's got these yellow kind of eyes, and then it's kind of like a ninja mask, like for like Scorpion or Sub Zero, they wear that like kind of like ninja breather mask thing. He's
Yeah.
got kind of that, but like the top half of it is all red. But that's just his face. Like that's not anything that he's wearing. That's just his face, as far as I can tell.
Right.
Yeah. So he's a weird looking dude. Now this theme song opens up with him just kind of like in repose, like he's on a chase lounger, just kind of like with his arm thrown back over the back of his chopper motorcycle, and he's staring directly at the camera,
Now,
directly at you, dear viewer.
now, to Dave's
Yeah.
point, or to his comment that he made off
Yeah.
air, it looks like a fucking like creepy dating
Yes,
video.
exactly.
Like it looks
Yeah.
like it's opening up on a creepy
It's
dating
like a
video.
sex chat commercial where he's just like, "Are you sitting home lonely and waiting to talk to
Hey.
someone like me?" Oh boy, it's sexy,
Yeah,
sorta.
it is really
It's like
it
eczema
is.
sexy, like sexema. That's not a thing. I don't think that's a thing. Yeah,
Like it.
it's like if you like pink eye, then
Oh
definitely chat
God,
this guy
I
up.
think we'll have to talk about like the because he says one
Hmm.
sentence like kind of almost breaking the fourth wall, looking like directly at
Yeah,
you. You know, kind of like like a menacing like oh God, that might be sexy kind of like
yeah,
threatening
yeah.
way. You know, he just looks at you and he goes surrender or pay the consequences. And like
Welcome
that's
to the
how the
show.
show
Yeah,
opens. Like welcome to the show. Now this sentence is important
and why would that
because
be? Yeah.
after watching a because there are like there's no real consequences like nor are there like really any demands like I mean
No.
his ultimate goal overlord's ultimate goal has to be to just take over all of the world with these zone
Hmm.
generators but then I mean but then what I mean that's it
Yeah, it's
like you're
basically like
done.
if you fight back, he's gonna take over your area with his zone generators, and if you surrender, he's gonna take over your area with the zone generators. So there's really no reason not to fight back against this guy.
Yeah.
But now I think is a grand time for Sean to give you the rest of this uplifting and heroic and powerful and energetic theme song that's been in our heads for a week solid.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So, just imagine me on a motorcycle that will never ever be shown again
Nope.
in the series, and I'm just gonna look directly at you and point, and I'm just gonna go surrender or pay the consequences. Earth's most powerful soldiers are Earth's last chance to fight the spiral zone. Darkness has fallen on the victims of the zone. Our world calls for courage, peace, and freedom. We must own. We will fight on our honor what is right. We'll defend, fight the zone. Zone riders, Earth's most powerful soldiers.
Yeah,
Our
it's not easy.
Earth's last chance against the spiral zone.
Spiral Zone. Well done. Well done,
Thank
sir.
you.
Now, if you can just imagine, yeah, like some rock guitars and a lot of dudes flying around shooting lasers while that was going on. It's basically like if they just had like an eagle carrying an American flag through like tank fire. It would just be perfectly epic. But yeah, that's been in our head for like a week now, and you can check it out on our website too. We have that with the actual like animation that goes with the theme too. So a lot of fun. Probably a
Yeah.
lot. It made a lot more sense than the show itself. I will say that.
Yes,
How does this hold up
absolutely.
for your theory, though? Like, what do you think about that? Those lyrics as pertains to like your introduction to the show? Like, does that tell you what to expect?
I mean, I mean, with any kind of like, so I mean, I just want to be very specific. There are some like there are like three types of like intros that they have for
Yeah.
cartoons. There's like intros that are like specifically made to be an introductory song.
Right.
Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes to mind.
Right. Yeah, you learn
There
the
are
character names, you learn their story, you learn why they're doing what they're doing, and then you
right,
get right into it. Yeah.
but it's like something where it's like it's like the yin to the yang for the second one, which is just like a clips show
Right.
intro,
Right.
and which is what Spiral Zone
Yeah.
is. Like it's just all clips from different episodes. Like you didn't really watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song and think like, oh, I'm gonna see those clips like in other episodes.
Right.
I mean, I might be incorrect.
Well, they might have used them,
But
but I mean, they use them in a way that it's just like, Leonardo leads and they show Leonardo doing something cool. And
right,
they're like,
and
Donatello
it's
does, they introduce the people. They don't just talk about what is generally
right.
happening. They use them as an audio and visual cue to be like, oh, that's Leonardo. Got it. Next. Yeah.
And so, I mean, and the third one is just like a hybrid, like
Right.
which is what actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song might be.
Oh, I got you.
So it's a bad example.
Okay.
So I think it's more of a TMNT is more of a hybrid. Spiral Zone is more just like a total clips one. And then there are other intros that are like meant specifically like to just simply segue you into this show, like Captain N. There was a lot of Captain N. Actually, that's probably more of a hybrid. I'm not going to debate this
Look,
point
like
because
Dino,
I'm going to go
Dino
back.
Saucers comes to mind because I don't think they ever actually showed that meeting of the kids and the Dino Saucers in the show itself. I think they
Oh yeah,
met. They
yeah.
met in the intro. It was almost like a super super short intro episode where they're just like, "Here's what happened a little while ago, and now we're in the story." So that
Yeah.
one I think kind of goes with that, and
Okay.
also still one of the best fucking theme songs we've played so far.
Yeah.
So
True.
yeah,
Oh God. So this one's like this. I said it before. It prepares you for the idea of like good versus evil,
right.
but there's very little substance in this, which in my mind is kind of how this show proceeded. So I think it kind of fulfills. I'd say it's maybe a 50-50. I mean, you could definitely debate this one because
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's a fun theme song. It gets you pumped up for the idea. It
exactly.
gives some basic themes, that you're going to understand, and it doesn't need to introduce all. It doesn't introduce all the characters, but I mean, then again, I mean,
Well,
whatever.
look,
I
dude.
mean,
Like when I
I,
first
I
saw
didn't even
this,
want to. I didn't even want to meet these five
no,
soldiers.
I didn't even care
Like,
about them. I just wanted to know what the hell the spiral zone was because it
yeah,
sounded like
I
a
know.
mistranslation of something, or like I don't think that that's what they want it to be. Like that doesn't sound
I
right.
mean,
What is a
like,
spiral zone? How am I fighting this?
I mean, it's hard because like you're not really fighting a spiral
No, you're
zone. You're
not.
you're fighting a zone generator
Exactly.
that's controlled by Overlord. And
Yeah.
so I mean, like it's a little like it took me a couple seconds. Like there were a couple things. So like I have to admit,
Yeah.
I had some confusion regarding the naming of this show.
Well, and we should talk about the episode order too, because if you're listening to this but you haven't watched the show yet, I will say look for episode 4. What is the name of it? I lost it. Do you remember the name of it by any chance? Mission
Yeah.
into Evil is the name of it. It was the original pilot, but it's actually episode 4, so it's fourth in the batting order. Definitely watch that first, and everything afterwards will make a lot more sense. If you struggled through the first 3 episodes without that, like Sean and I did, you'll obviously piece it together because you have a few functioning brain cells, but it takes a little bit to just be like, who are these people? What is going on? But yeah, so watch episode 4 first, and then it makes a lot more sense.
Agreed.
Yeah. What did you want to talk about the episode? Was that all you
No,
wanted to mention?
I just no, I just had some confusion because like the spiral zone.
Yeah,
I mean, like it's called spiral zone,
right.
and it's spiral zone. They're called spiral zones due to the shape. It says, but there are like the soldiers themselves are also called the spiral force.
Yeah, so
Like
there's like,
those five soldiers are called the spiral
well, and
force.
they're called
But
Zone
then,
Riders too,
yeah, but
right?
then they're almost exclusively only referred to as zone riders like throughout the entire series. And so I don't know. I just there were moments where I was just like this show is almost suffering from like poor branding, like
Yeah,
internal
I would
branding
agree.
itself.
Yeah,
I was just like, it doesn't seem like they just seemed to like. I feel like they got the word spiral and zone in the brain, and then they were just like, we're just never gonna let these go. Like, we're gonna choke hold the shit out of these.
I will say this though, I do love. Okay, I love Overlord. I love that he's just like I'm Dr. James Bent, and then he's just like I am now Overlord. So done. Let's put that behind us and get to work on these zone generators.
Yeah.
I love his Black Widows, and Sean mentioned this earlier that they had a device that like allowed the people to the widows to stay within these zones but not be as affected as everybody else, the zoners.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of that device? What he called it? This is one of my favorites.
Oh my God.
If you don't remember it, it's not much of a stretch. It's called the Widowmaker.
The Widowmaker. That's right.
I love it.
Jesus
But
God.
again, that's just like the extent of like how far they go to like come up with names for this stuff. Because, oh my God, speaking of names, I was gonna start talking about the Black Widows, but maybe we should start with the Zone Riders because their
All right.
names, their actual human, real people names, are so bad.
Yeah.
A couple of them are okay, but
So,
some of them are so bad.
and you have like the de facto like white blonde haired leader
Yes.
who is Commander Dirk Courage.
Oh, you can turn it off right now, folks.
Pretty much. Pretty
Oh
much.
boy.
Uh, he is as vanilla as you can come. Like,
He's Captain America without the like without anyone to give a counterpoint to his stoic patriotism. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like he is Boy Scout numero uno, but no one ever gives him reason to like be otherwise or to question him at all. So that's it. So there you go. Dirk Courage.
God, it's just yeah. So Dirk Courage.
He's fine for what he does though, I think. I mean, he's the leader of the team. He's fine. He's okay. He's acceptable.
You have
He's one of Earth's most powerful soldiers. I'm sorry.
oh
Had to get that
God,
in
then
there.
we are fucked.
Yeah,
We are
we're
really
fucked.
fucked.
Yeah, we are all fucked.
As a
Just go into
planet.
a zone and just mellow out for the rest of your life.
Just gonna suffer from ennui and then just pass away slowly.
Hmm.
Ugh. All right, there's a Master Sergeant Tank Schmidt.
Oh, buddy.
He is from West
Oh,
Germany.
was he? I couldn't tell from his terrible German accent every few
No, I'm
seconds.
sorry. He has the worst fucking German
It's
accent.
really
All right,
bad.
it switches from German to Russian
Yep.
and French
Thank you.
all
I
at the
wrote that
same fucking
exact
time.
same thing down because I'm
It
just like,
is
why is he a man?
garbage.
He's everywhere. He's all over the place. It's like he's not even like a bad Schwarzenegger impression or anything like that.
Yes,
He's
it
just
is.
bad and
I just I
inconsistent,
also I
and I
also
love it.
love the fact that it's West Germany.
Yes, thank you, 1987,
That
for
that is so fucking fun.
because apparently in 1987 they were just like, oh well, it's always going to be East and West Germany for the next at least 20 years. I love the year 2007 that this shit
Yeah.
was supposed to happen to. Where were you, internet? Why did no one tell us in 2007 that these fucking zone generators are about to drop? Sleep at the wheel. Oh
Oh
boy.
God.
I
Yeah.
will say just a
It's just
moment.
it's
Yeah.
oh no, it's just like it's Cold War humorous.
Oh,
That
definitely.
like this came out in like '87, and like I think it was another 3 years until the Berlin Wall fell, and they like just to have them be so specific
Yes,
about this,
incredibly specific.
like
But it is interesting because we'll talk about the other characters too. But we do have kind of a worldly team. So we've got Dirk Courage, who's obviously American. I mean, what
yeah,
else is he going to be? And then Tank, who's clearly West German, not to be confused with East German.
yeah.
And then speaking of Cold War, we've got a little
Oh yeah, hey,
Ruski.
we've got a Lieutenant Hero Taka who
Yeah.
is from Japan. We
Oh,
have
if you couldn't if you couldn't guess from pretty much every time he bursts
Hiro Taka.
Hiro Taka. Every time he bursts onto the scene, they play some sort of racist tone that you
Oh,
will
it's
recognize
so
instantly.
it's uncomfortable.
Oh, it's super
It's
uncomfortable.
it's so uncomfortable.
It's really bad.
I'm crying. It's
You can
uncomfortable.
close your eyes and know exactly when Hero comes onto the stage because they
Or
make this
just
sound.
like you know what? I get it. Like
Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
martial arts came from like from Asia.
Yeah.
Like it came from like Western Asia. Like not every whatever. You know, it doesn't matter. Like not every person from Japan
But
knows
the
fucking
most
martial arts.
powerful soldiers do. So keep
Oh
that in mind.
Christ.
Yep.
Well, We had Second Lieutenant Max Jones.
Yeah, he's just kind of like a cool guy. He's probably American too.
Easily the best character on this show. He's
Yeah,
the
Sean
only
likes him a
one
lot.
out of these five like pieces of trash that actually does anything. It's amazing. And then you have Corporal Katerina Anastasia.
Yeah,
She is from the
she's from
USSR, which is
USSR.
funny that it's still USSR
Yeah.
at that time. So
So if you want a
again,
lesson in like Cold War politics, just watch
yeah.
this show and you'll know everything you need to know. That everybody gets along and they always have.
Earth's most powerful soldiers
Yeah,
are fitting stereotypes.
sure are.
Yeah. So,
Oof.
uh, so the suits that the five of these wear, because like they're zone riders, so they're going into the
Yeah, they're like
zone
the only ones
that
that are allowed to by the
right.
military.
So they're continually going into these
Right.
zones, and they're unaffected by everything that's there, and it's because of the special suits that they're wearing, which comes from a rare material called Neutron 90.
Correct.
And evidently there was such a small amount of it that was manufactured that we only had enough for 5 fucking
For a little
suits,
while anyway. Yeah.
which is just that's earth shattering that we were just like, oh yeah, we can only make like maybe pump up production on that,
Well, hey,
guys.
dude, they
Like,
tried
don't be a
to. They
jerk.
tried to. Do you remember what they said? The Black Widows actually took out.
Right. Well, what
Yeah.
happened? I mean, they were so it was being manufactured in a site in Great Britain,
Correct.
and when Great Britain was in the process of falling under a zone, the fucking British government destroyed it. But here's
Makes zero sense to me, but okay.
yeah, it makes
Yeah.
zero sense to me because I don't buy it for a fucking
Nope.
second because these zones like these like devices hit and they automatically create a zone and then everybody like is under this like kind of like hazy fog of
Right.
war. It's like they have like NyQuil head,
Right.
like when they wake up in
Stuffy
the morning
head
and they just kind
fever.
of like
Yep.
just fucking zonked out and don't do
Yep.
shit. It's like me on a Saturday is basically like the zone. It's so like just unproductive and just crappy. Like you just don't want to get up or like change clothing or anything
Yeah.
like that. And so I mean, they only had enough for these 5 suits, and so that's where we find our
Well, I'll tell you
heroes.
what, as the show marched on to its 65 episodes, apparently they found enough that was left over from putting these five suits
Yes,
together to just feel like, oh, let's bring 2 more in. Um, they got an Australian. He's a demolition specialist. His name is
correct.
Lieutenant Ned Tucker. And then they
Yeah,
got a field scientist, whatever the fuck that is, named, I'm not even kidding on this one, Lieutenant Benjamin Davis Franklin.
yep,
Lieutenant Benjamin Franklin.
yep.
Now, we're talking about names and how terrible they are. We've definitely got to talk about the Black Widows again because this team of misfits, woof, it's, I don't even know. I mean, we were talking about stereotypes with our heroes. The villains are just as bad.
They are, if not
Maybe
worse.
worse. I don't
So,
know. I feel like
so,
we are more stereotypical of the heroes. The heroes are almost worse. The
so like
worst
we
one is
mentioned that
obviously Bandit. Yeah. Let's just get that out of the way.
yeah. Uh, Wait, I'm sorry.
Bandit?
Oh, Bandit.
Yeah.
So he's the only one here that's like of I guess like notable. I want to say like a notable like background, and he is Middle Eastern,
Yes. Very Middle Eastern.
very Middle Eastern.
You can picture him
Um,
in your head without ever having seen him. You can picture him right now.
yep.
Basically, picture any like
What you're
Aladdin villain, and you've got him.
what you're thinking right now is exactly
You got
correct.
it.
It's super correct. Um, you have you have Duchess
Oh
Dyer.
man.
She's the only female because every team needs to have 5 characters, and out of those 5, one needs to be
Yeah,
female.
that's
So
how it's done.
we're doing a real good job
That's
of
how it's done.
balancing
Do you know why it's
gender
done that
diversity.
way though? It's so they can sell the toys. So they keep the molds the same, and they just switch the colors and the weapons and all that stuff out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's smart. That's smart toy making.
Yeah, I mean it's
Good work.
yeah, I mean it's genius, but I mean it's just I don't know, it's disappointing.
This entire show is disappointing.
So,
So let's not.
let's not get ahead of ourselves because there's a lot more disappointment to come,
Oh,
guys.
just wait.
We have Razorback, you have Reaper, and then at some point
Here we go.
further down, and this is Dave's favorite
Oh boy.
part about this. So you have there's 2 additional villains because I mean if you're gonna have 2 additional good
gotta
guys,
balance
you're
it
gonna
out.
have Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
Hey look, you got those plastic
What?
molds. So
What is an antithesis of Ben Franklin, Sean?
Ben Frank. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Of Ben
Yeah.
Franklin and
Ned
Ned
Tucker.
Tucker.
Ned Tucker.
Uh, the counter would be Crook,
Okay.
because they're
Yeah,
villains,
sure.
and raw meat.
I couldn't watch an episode with raw meat, but I so wanted to. I just want to see what this thing looks like.
Uh,
Why they call him raw meat? The first guy, Crook, is like a French scientist, okay, and the other
yeah.
guy is just a truck driver. So I don't know why he's called raw meat, but I just love that. Oh
So
man,
it's so
this is what we're
wonderful.
dealing with here, kids.
I think my biggest problem with the Black
Yeah.
Widows, my biggest problem with this show in
Hmm.
general is their blatant disregard for proper vehicle design.
Well, okay, so it's kind of post-apocalyptic, so everybody only has enough for
Yeah, 2007 was a real
yeah,
rough year
for one wheel. Everybody
for
gets one
one
wheel
wheel.
unless you're in the zone where everybody has seven wheels or tank treads or yes, the very symmetrical seven-wheeled vehicles that are out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh, I
phew,
really like every. There were a lot of like very so like you have Overlord and Courage both have their like we're a leader, and so they get like a very distinct
right.
vehicle, and so then the rest of the Black Widows kind of have these. I don't know. It looked like a Barca Lounger
Yeah.
with like whirling maces on either
Yeah, I mean,
side,
it's
or
the
like
the
maybe
oddest
maybe like a
looking.
shitty Adirondacks chair.
It looked like
Uh,
a IKEA design from hell that like a team of like ex-cons or something like put together as like a work release project to try to break out of prison. It's the weirdest looking thing. They had these like tank treads on it. It kind of looks like one of the exosuits from Exo Squad, but like really really shitty.
But
Um,
like, but the main difference being between the exosuits is that the exosuits always had like a piece of glass or like something that would
yeah,
actually protect the person that was
exactly.
inside. These
From
were just
debris.
wide
Yeah,
open. These were just wide open vehicles, and these were like so. There are multiple times where like they go through like the wall of a
oh, and
building.
shit gets blown up left and right, and
Okay,
people
and shit
fly
gets
out of
blown
these
up, and
things.
so like
It's like Mad
people
Max.
like
It's like Mad
yeah,
Max.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. And so like these things are like going on, and like these people are like blowing up, or they're blowing up shit all around them, and they are just completely exposed. Now, like when I say like it looks like a lazy boy or like a Barca lounger, like they're just like comfortably sitting in these
Yeah, it's
things,
exactly the
like
safety level of a Barca Lounger.
but the thing that killed me are these the camel like the straw that broke the camel's back
Hmm.
on this for me was these dumb fucking whirling mace arms that were on the side because
No,
they didn't
they didn't
extend
shoot anything.
front they didn't shoot anything they didn't extend beyond the front of the
They
vehicle
must
so
have
you
made that
thought to
ride like
yourself like
wobbly as hell too. Like,
holy
could you imagine
crap
your
like
alignment bill after that? That's just crazy.
it's nuts. Like so, like they're on like these they're on these tank treads.
Right.
So like if you're thinking to yourself like, oh, well, like the whirling mace arm was to like break up all the rubble and debris that's on the ground. Like
Nope.
they're riding on tank treads, you dummy. Like, do you not understand how tank treads work? Like it's just like it was so frustrating. Every time they got in these stupid things, like I lost my mind. I was like, I hope one of them blows up, and then one of them would blow up.
Yeah,
But like
multiple times.
they
Like,
blow up, and it would send the person who was inside of it. There was never like eject button,
no.
but like the explosion would happen, and it would shoot the person, like 10, 15, 20 feet out of the
Yeah,
dumb
like the
mace
cockpit.
armed Barca lounger
Yeah.
chair, and they'd be like, oh, I'm fine.
Oh, or they would
Like
just like
fuck
smash. One
you.
of my favorite sequences. Okay, this was like a rescue sequence between Tank, the West German, and this little girl. Which, oh my god, I cannot wait to get to this girl. I don't want to ruin her.
That sounded creepy taken out of
I want to get to
context.
this girl. Well, guess what? I can get to her because she's disabled and she rides
Oh,
around in a hover wheelchair.
oh boy.
Oh dear, I can't wait to get to her. Neither could Tank. Neither could Tank. There's a rescue scene between the two of them, and there's this sequence where Tank, he's basically just like surrounded by these Black Widows. He's trying to get up and get back on his like unicycle motorcycle thing. He gets it upright, and then he just kind of like pushes it over again and turns around. So it's like, well, what the fuck? Okay. And then he turns around and slowly walks back towards the Black Widows, who have him surrounded with these tank things, pulls out his laser pistol, fires one shot, and then just gets immediately blasted into a wall by all the other lasers from the Black Widows. It's just like that kind of poor editing and just weird continuity stuff was throughout this entire series. And it's hilarious to watch. It just makes zero sense. And they've got unlimited resources apparently because these vehicles blow up left and right. And they just pick up a new one and just ride it
Yep.
into the zone. It's just to sell toys. Just to remind you, it is just to
Yep.
sell toys. I particularly liked is it Commander Dirk Courage? I
Yeah. Commander
particularly
Dark
liked
Courage.
his vehicle because it's just a big. It's like a big wheel. It's just a big wheel with a fucking cannon mounted
You know
on
what?
top of it.
You know what it looked
What it
like?
look
It
like?
looked like the like on South Park, that mono wheel
Yeah.
that they have, like the Mr. Garrison like dildo chair,
Yes.
like mono wheel thing. Like it looks almost exactly like that, and you just put a giant gun on
If you
top
put
of
a
it.
giant cannon on top of it. Now, I bring this cannon up for a variety of reasons. One, Sean, there was a recurring theme or recurring instance in the episodes that we watched, which involved the Zone Riders having to rescue someone, whether it was one of their own team members or whether it was
Sure.
somebody else that they, every episode there's
Some
somebody
type of
that's
a
brought in.
POW.
Yeah, there's
There was
always
always
somebody.
something that brought them into the zone.
Now, the way that they rescue these people is suspect because they
Jesus.
don't have like, a cargo van or a medical like an ambulance or anything that you would be like, "Oh, let's fucking make some room for these extra people we're picking up." Every time they pick someone up, they put them in a different place. If it's,
Yes.
if it's like Katarina who gets shot, we should mention there's kind of a love thing between Katarina and Courage, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is real sexy. But
It's
there's
like one of the first. It's like one of the first. There are very few moments
yes,
where you actually see, like, I want to say,
people talking to each other.
no, yes.
Because that's one of them. Yeah,
Conversations.
conversation.
What?
Yeah,
Um, there are very few moments in the show, in the episodes that I watched, where you see people express any type of empathy towards one another,
right.
and like, and that's fascinating because like you are five soldiers, you are the only five soldiers that can do a certain job.
Yeah,
All right, and we should mention of the four episodes, I want to say at least half of them showed like uh, very flagrant disregard to direct
oh
orders
yeah,
from commanding officers that would put their lives and the lives of others at
and the
risk. Like
mission too.
this
Like
is shit.
this
Yeah,
is yeah, this is the mission
this
to
is shit. This
protect the
is
rest of the fucking world. Like you're the
yes,
only
yes.
people that can get this shit straight, and you are fucking
And
it
like,
up.
and they are just like, you know what? I don't care what they said.
Ugh.
I gotta follow my heart on this
It's
one.
very
And
Top
like,
Gun.
it's
Yeah,
ugh, I mean, like, you understand why they're doing
yeah.
it. Like, when you're watching it, you're just like, oh, they gotta wrap this up real quick.
Well,
Like
that, but I mean,
they
each
they had
character
20.
has their own kind of like reasons for doing so, which we'll kind of talk about
Right.
in a second. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
But
still not
like
good.
this, if you this is in the first episode. It's they have this briefing, and the rest of the Zone Riders clear out, and it's just like Dirk and Katarina for like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and they have like this like
Mm.
really intense exchange. And this was like the first episode. To that point, I was just like, oh, okay, like this. There's like some interesting things that are going
Right,
on here.
exactly.
Like there's a lot of stuff here. And then from that point forward, in the first episode, that's maybe like the 5 minute mark. It's just trash. Like
Yeah,
that
it
was like
starts off like there's moments where you're like somebody in that room had real designs to like make something of this, and they just got run out, and it was just like, nope, toys, 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 blow everything up.
yep.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a nice moment between them, which makes sense a little later on. I don't think in that episode, but in a later episode, she actually gets blasted by Duchess.
Yes.
And another recurring theme we'll talk about is hospitals, because every single episode ends in the fucking hospital with a different person. But I digress. So Katarina gets blasted. They take her back to the hospital. But in order
Yeah.
to get her there, one of the other riders basically just like puts her across his lap and just drives her back, which sounds normal, right? I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
They don't have a space for her, so they put her across her lap.
They're traveling into a
A
an
war
area
zone.
where
Yeah.
you would think, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
They're traveling into a war zone where everybody that's in there is under the influence of the zone.
Right. And
Which we
Overlord.
should mention
Yeah.
is like a giant fucking mood ring. Like, and
Yeah.
so
That you can walk
they
into and out of. Yeah.
yeah. And so, they're stuck in this weird, ominous like ennui, and you would think that you would kind of like pull up into this joint, I don't know, in like a paddy wagon or like a semi truck, and
Something.
like and get people into this thing and get them the fuck out.
Yeah.
But like they
No, they
don't do
scoop up
that.
one person at a time.
So, yeah, they scoop up one person at a time on their motorcycles, and then they GTFO, and that's it.
So let's
Like,
talk about that. So they put Katarina across one of the guy's laps. Fine. Another
mm,
guy, Max Jones,
mm,
he scoops up a little kid with just like one arm and he hauls him out.
yeah,
That's fine. They go in, they get basically a fallen pilot. They strap him to the back of one of their unicycles or
yeah,
something, or like one of the tank tread thingies, and they haul him out. That's fine. Now this has all happened. In the first episode, however, they need to
yes.
they need
In the
to,
first episode, they are
I love
rescuing
this so
somebody.
much.
They're rescuing somebody from the zone, and
Uh,
instead of like putting them over the lap or like
Anywhere else that we
having
just
like
mentioned, carrying them,
it's
anything
Hero,
else,
it's Hero,
it's
right?
hero, it's
They're
hero.
rescuing Hero,
Yeah,
and instead of putting Hero like in any way that would be like I don't know
safe.
recommended
Yeah,
to ensure the safety of somebody that is on your team
right,
that you are trying to recover.
right.
They put him in the barrel of the gun that's on
Oh my
Commander.
God.
That's on Dirk's
Yeah, his big wheel.
fucking his big wheel.
Yeah,
Like they put him inside of the barrel. It's like an open
yeah.
barrel.
It's like a half barrel. Like the bottom of it, it's just kind of a chute. It's basically a
Yeah,
chute, a gun that shoots from a
yeah.
chute. Yeah,
And so they put him in this half barrel, and then it looks like they tie him down with like a belt.
yeah. They just a
Like
couple belts that they got laying around, and strap him down in this fucking gun barrel of a laser cannon. Ah, you
the
guys are
vehicle
shitty teammates.
the vehicle that Courage that Commander Dirk Courage rides is called the Rimfire.
Oh boy. I
So
did not know that.
I love
That's
it. I
something you
love
got to
it.
get checked at the doctor's when you got that rim fire.
Rimfire.
Ooh,
Oh
they got a
boy.
cream and an ointment for that.
So, so yes.
So yeah,
So they
strap Hero down in the rim fire. I love that. Like I might not have noticed it if the villain hadn't specifically called it out, because he goes after
yeah.
Courage and he's like, "Oh, you strapped your dude into your weapon, so you can't fire that gun anymore. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you." It's the weirdest thing, man.
Uh,
That's one of the
bizarre.
themes. We've got carrying people and rescuing people. We've got everybody ends up in the hospital, but is totally fine, and everybody just laughs at the end.
Well, I mean, I think you did a really good job of kind of and help me out with this, Dave,
Yeah.
because you boiled this show
Oh,
down
here
to
we go.
almost like an if then
Yeah.
else like an if then statement.
Yeah.
Which is super funny. Because it made perfect sense. I mean, for the 4 episodes that we watched, like it was spot on
Yeah.
perfect. And so the idea is that walk me through it.
Okay.
Walk me through it. So
Basically,
I want you to do it justice.
okay, I appreciate that. I basically laid it out this way. I laid it out as a problem and a resolution. Problem: the Black Widows are planning to blow something up. Resolution: the Zone Riders blow it up instead. That that is the solution to every conflict in these episodes. They like do these recons at like, man, they're at like the Marin generator like near I think San Francisco, and they go to the Hoover Dam, and they're in Montreal, and they're all over the
Yeah.
place at these different sites. And I always drop a little bit of like pseudo history on the viewers as well. They're always like, oh, back in this day, this thing happened. Oh my
They
God, we
are
need to talk
they
about
are
the conversation between the soldiers too before I forget about that.
yes. They are Earth's most informative soldiers.
They're super powerful and informative. But so they're always moving around, and everything. It's always the overlord that wants to blow something up, whether it's the Hoover Dam, whether it's a generator, whether it's just a building or something. They always want to blow something up. So you would think send the team in and stop them. No, no. The team goes in. They wire their own timed detonators in literally 3 of the 4 episodes at least, and they
Yes.
plan to blow it up instead. It makes zero sense. It makes absolutely
And
no sense. It's fun because
I
it's big
think
explosions,
I,
but yeah.
I think my favorite thing is that they I forget if it was in Wikipedia or if it was in this Spiral Zone wiki that I found. They said that the zone generators are impossible to
Yeah.
yes, zone generators are impossible to capture because of booby traps.
I love that Wikipedia entry.
Oh,
So
oh,
whoever, because of data from the Goonies, just like rolling around setting booty traps.
like
Uh,
I'm sorry. These things are impossible to capture because of booby traps. Like you got to be kidding me. Like it's just
look in
I can suspend disbelief
right.
to enjoy a
And we
show.
do every week, yes.
Yes,
But
but
man,
this was just too fucking crazy. Like,
well, okay, here's a great example of that. There's one episode, it's called King of the Skies, and it involves like a former like ace pilot that they kind of the Zone Riders find, and Courage knows him from like his past in the military, whatever. Basically, it turns out in this episode that
it was Donovan,
it was
King
King
Donovan,
Donovan, King of the
King
Skies,
Donovan.
Donovan. Yeah, I love that guy though. He was awesome. He was actually a cool
Yeah,
character.
yeah, he was like a mentor
Yeah,
to Dirk Courage.
and he showed that old people shouldn't be counted out because they can still save the day over you young bucks.
That was oh my god. I have a quote from this that
Shoot.
was my favorite.
Okay.
I forget I forget which one of the Zone Riders said
It
this,
doesn't
but
matter.
probably Tank.
Probably.
Probably Tank because I hate him.
Yeah.
He just goes, thanks, old timer. And Donovan replies, and he goes, old timer, I was fighting wars when you were in diapers. And then he walks away like real kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
And then probably Tank just goes, what did I say? Old timer. You said old timer. You called him
Yeah.
old timer.
You called him an
If you want to
old,
know what you
decrepit
said,
man.
you just insulted him. You ageist fuck. Like, God damn it. Like, it was so, it's like one of those things where you're like, hey, Dave, you motherfucker. And you're like, whoa,
Dude, what
really?
the? I
You
mean, come
walk
on.
away and I'm
We're
like,
walking.
oh, what
We're
did I say?
live on
Oh,
this show right now. Like,
I called you a motherfucker. Like, that's
it's not really
the,
professional.
the thing that you just said is the exact thing that came into
Yeah,
question, you
the
dumb
only
dumb.
thing you said. You said
The
two
only
words.
thing you said.
One of them was offensive.
Oh, God.
But he in this episode, okay, so the premise of this one is they rescue this old guy lost outside the zone. They bring him back. He gives them some intel. That turns out to lead into a trap. Fine, great, whatever.
Got
Here's where I had a problem.
it.
So Overlord, he has like both of these guys, Courage and Overlord, each have their own kind of like scientist. One's bad, one's good. They do kind of the same stuff though. So the bad guy's scientist gives Donovan a memory implant that gives him a false memory of this supposed like access road to get into Overlord's lair at the time at Hoover Dam. So of course Donovan tells them about this, not knowing that he's leading them into a trap. The best part of this, however, was when they replayed this memory implant video. Did you watch this? Oh
Yeah.
my God. So they're doing the playback, and they're letting viewers know exactly what Donovan saw. For the first part, Overlord is talking directly to Donovan and saying, here's what you're going to tell him. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is fine. I'm still okay with that. He's like, there's an access road, you're going to tell them where it is, and you're going to lead them right to us. And then it's almost like Donovan is watching like through a camera because you just see Overlord just kind of like look off to the side and talk to somebody off camera like, oh hey, what's going on over there? Oh yeah, I just tricked this stupid fuck into leading the Zone Riders into an ambush that we're gonna have. And it's like, if he could remember to tell him about the path, why couldn't he remember to tell him not to go on the path because they were gonna get ambushed?
Yeah, I mean, like, you had a whole fucking outtakes
Yeah.
reel in your brain. Like, you
Yeah,
couldn't
he's like,
have
should I
brought
do it
that up at
again?
any
He's
point
like,
in
should
time?
I, is the lighting okay? Should I just,
Should I do it again?
should I, one more time? Ugh.
What about the consequences of this memory implant? Shut up. Shut your
I just
mouth.
love that though. I love the logic where it's like he told him the secret memory. He also told him the plan. Donovan only remembered half of it.
And then shits on him about it.
Yeah, he sure did, old timer. Maybe maybe he
Yeah.
had
What'd you
Alzheimer's.
say? What did I say?
Maybe he was demented.
This was
He had dementia.
this was also the episode where Kat gets shot. And
Oh, was it? Yeah.
yeah. I wrote down in my notes. They rescue Kat by putting her on a bike. Whose bike was it?
Oh,
Was it Tank's?
I want to say Matt. It might have been Tanks. It was either Tank or
Okay.
Max. Yeah.
It doesn't matter,
Doesn't matter.
who it was, because whoever it was, it looks like they were totally taking her. Like the way that they drew it, it looks like one of the Zone Riders was getting in Kat's zone.
Yeah. See
Like-
now, you can do that if it's a lady Zone Rider and a male Zone Rider. Apparently, you cannot do that if it is your fallen brother hero. You just strap that fucker into a laser cannon barrel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because no
Isn't that
homo
cute?
on this show.
Jesus,
Oh
man.
my goodness. But like,
I love-
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Did you? I had a couple fun. There were two additional moments that I wrote
Oh
down
my
that
God, I've
were
got so many. Just so many tank
losing my
quotes and
mind.
yeah.
They were losing my mind in this episode was one where they say they're just like there have been many improvements in the field of high tech mind control, and I was just like, oh, this is gonna be my new
Yeah,
major.
you
Like
can
I'm gonna
minor
go
in
back
that.
to
It's cool.
school.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to school and I'm gonna get a fucking degree. I'm gonna get my bachelor's of science
Hmm.
in high tech mind control.
Yeah.
Like that and
Sign me up.
at the very end when Donovan is like kind of talking and kind of like settling on everything that's
Right.
happened and being very apologetic. There's like an odd like sexy saxophone
Yes,
solo
thank
that
you. I put that down
happens.
too. Donovan gets his own sexy saxophone solo while he's like planning to like show those young kids what an old timer can do.
It
And it is
was
he's just in a room by himself with a sexy saxophone playing and he's like swooning over his helmet and his jumpsuit. It's so bizarre.
it's like I always wanted like the bikini clad woman on like the Rex and Effect Rump
Yes.
Shaker music
Thank you.
video
To
to
just
walk
walk
out and be
in.
like like I was dying. I was like, what the fuck is
Oh
this
my God.
soundtrack?
Look,
Uh,
I'll tell you another moment that I had that was similar to that. Okay. Do you remember the conversation between the two random like guards, the two random soldiers? Do you remember bits and pieces?
no, no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
So I have this. So let me set this up for you. I think this is the first episode. Zone Riders know that Overlord is planning to like take over a generator and basically cut the Pacific coast off from the entire fleet and shut down
Okay.
their transport. So big fucking deal, maybe, right? They cut from that to these two Gomers, these two random guards, just like on the Golden Gate Bridge. And here is the following conversation between these two random soldiers. Ready? Got a letter
God.
from my cousin in Chicago. Saw Rambo 12 last week. Saw Rambo 12 last week. The ticket cost him $30. The other soldier comes in. Well, he shouldn't complain. At least they got movies. Hey, what else did your cousin have to say? The first soldier. He said they're thinking about getting Major League Baseball back together again.
Yes, all six
All
teams.
six, all 16 should be able to field at least 6 teams. And then the other guy, they're just having this casual conversation in the middle of a fucking apocalypse. The other guy goes, "Yep, should be good for morale." Hey, hear that? At this point, like Hero just blasts through them and just goes right into the zone. These two guys should just be fed into the zone and left for dead. But it's
This was episode
I
one.
think it's
This was
one. Yeah, yeah,
episode
yeah.
one.
It's this
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
dialogue though that
I
they're
wrote,
like they're.
I wrote the
Oh my god.
I wrote the same thing. Oh, hey, they're getting the MLB back
Yeah.
together.
Oh, hey, did you hear? What else did your cousin have to say? Like, this is the most
Who
interesting
gives,
thing I've heard in weeks.
gives a shit?
Ah, at least they got movies.
Oh
Fuck. And
God.
then I wrote in my own quote that it's in case you didn't know, it's the future in America and it's terrible because that's kind of like what they're letting you know. Jesus. There are so many just like throwaway like one-liners like it sounds like they're setting up something profound and then it just falls completely flat and it's hysterical. Like
Yeah.
at one point when Hero gets they use okay, did this make any sense to you? The holographic zone battle? Did that make any sense to you? That game thing, that little
No, I
like
mean
game
other
cube.
other other than to just like show something that like sort of looked
Yeah, like a
like
virtual
like
reality. Exactly.
Tronish
Yes. Yes.
or almost kind of like laser tag
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of like I don't know.
Well, okay. So without getting too much into the
I mean,
plots of this,
Dave,
yeah.
no.
No,
I have no
I have
time
no
for
time for
games.
games. Oh, that was Russian. I'm sorry. That should have been like West German. No, I have
Yeah.
no time for games.
No, I have no time for
I have
games.
no time for games.
Oh God.
Oh, I have so many tank quotes because he's the best. But okay, so at one point there's a guy and it doesn't matter who he is, but they give Hero this GameCube looking thing, right? It actually
That
it
shopkeeper.
looks like
But it was one of
it was like
the
a zone generator, kind of.
no, 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 it was Bandit. It was Bandit
Yes, in
disguised as that
disguise.
shopkeeper.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which that actually to introduce Bandit, that was pretty cool. He had a very
Yeah, that
cool
was
way of
fun.
taking those guards out. Yeah.
I mean, like if you end up watching the first episode, like if you end up watching like the first episode that actually, like, I guess that they're trying to say like
Holographic zone
is like
battle. Yep.
episode one, but episode four, Mission into Evil, is really the true
Right.
pilot. So you should watch Mission into Evil first. But holographic zone battle, like for watching it for the first couple times, like for the first couple minutes, I was like, oh, Bandit's like, he's infiltrating this base. He's putting in these crazy
Yeah, it was like
contacts. He's
Mission
got this.
Impossible
Oh
style, man. It
yeah,
was really cool.
I was like, holy shit, like this is pretty rad.
Yeah.
And then like they have like some weird exchange
Yeah.
like between Hero and Tank, and I was like, kind of waning on this.
Yeah.
And then there's the brief, and then Cat and Courage have this exchange, and I'm just kind of like, all right, this might be like an Exo Squad like
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Earth.
Exactly.
Like
But no,
maybe
it
it's
was
not
not.
maybe it's not spanning over 3 planets. Maybe it's just simply focusing on. And then from that point forward, I was just like, oh no, this is like those moments were wonderful.
Yeah.
Everything else after this is just
Look, I'll
trash.
tell you exactly where I was just like, nope, this is gonna be terrible. Okay, so Bandit, who he took out these guards and he hopped on this transport and he infiltrated this base, all for what purpose? Oh my God, to disguise himself as a shop owner.
Yep.
To disguise himself as a shop owner. Why? So he could give Hero, who just happened to walk in that day, this like grenade-shaped battle game generator. It was called a holographic zone battle. Now here's the quote that I wrote down. He says, "I have a holographic zone battle game for you. You can be defender or zoner, and it quote surrounds the planet with holographic battle." I still don't know what the fuck that means. I
I
wrote it
know.
down like, what the fuck does that mean? He's like, it really puts you in the action. I don't know. It was
I
just
mean,
such a
the
weird.
amazing thing is that for like this is a new game.
Right.
All right. Presumably, this has like something that Hero has never played before.
Right.
You know, and is very unique to this
And
situation.
remember, if you're watching
And
this show in order, this is your introduction to the show too.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
what is happening? Yeah.
And so you're thinking to yourself like, oh, like maybe do the game tutorial, figure out how to do this. Like, oh no, he immediately knows how to play this game, like
Oh yeah, instantly. And he
pretty
beats it, and he
well, pretty
beats the shit
well.
out of it within 20 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There. Okay. So I mentioned earlier about some of the quotes. That, like at one point, Tank is like, maybe I should talk to the commander about this game stuff. Just such just weird generic comments. Like again, Courage. He says at some point, where do I have it here? He's like, because they're using this game to try to trick Hero and to kind of get him on their side.
Right.
And Courage says, Overlord set out to get Hero. So he builds it up as like this big thing. And then he just goes, and he succeeded. It's like, well, fucking, like, well, do something about it. Like, what are you doing? Like, go get him. And do you remember the part where they actually go get him? Because I had to pause it. I was laughing so hard.
No,
Okay, so,
what part? I mean, like I remember the battle sequence and like them rescuing him and
right.
like fighting him and
Yeah.
stuff. But like what?
Yeah, to set this up, Hero kind of goes rogue because he's been tricked by Overlord, so the rest of the Zone Riders have to defeat him without hurting him, and then get him
Yeah.
out. And the way they get him out is strapping him to a laser cannon, which we talked about. But first, they have to defeat him. So, Courage, like, okay, so Hero busts into this hall, and he has his shirt off, and he looks very much like Bruce Lee, and he makes the Bruce Lee noises, and it's like,
Yep.
okay, here we go.
I get it.
Yeah, so
I get it.
Courage
I get it.
says to his
You're from
team,
Japan.
right? Courage says to his team, he's like, we have to take him without weapons. And then he just yells, hit it! And all of the guys attack Hero. And it's literally, I went back and I counted, it's literally 3 seconds. And Courage he goes, time's running out, we'll have to leave him. And he just fucking abandons him. It's only Tank that basically just goes up to him, slugs him, and then just carries him out. And it
Yep.
was like, your team leader gave you 3 seconds and then was just going to leave you behind. Like,
The
done.
note that I
Done.
wrote about that was
Ugh.
just there are 5 of you,
Yes.
and you abandoned 20% of your.
That your other 80% of the team could not defeat.
I mean, here's the thing: he wasn't wearing his zone suit at that. Like, he wasn't
Yeah,
wearing
that's
his
true.
suit
He
at
was a
that
little
time. So
cuckoo.
could have just put somebody else in that suit.
Oh,
Like,
boy.
could have just replaced Hero
Yeah.
with some other.
You got the
you
suit,
know,
dude. There's only 5.
martial arts fighting,
Oh, boy.
monocycle riding Japanese man.
Oh.
It's just I don't know.
I'm gonna.
I
I
don't
think
even know.
I'm gonna end up just my section thing with some more quotes from Tank because Sean hates him and I love him so much.
All right, please.
There's
Tank.
one.
Tank was my least favorite character.
Sean hated Tank. He loved Max. Max didn't really have any quotes other than going to get food from the
Yeah, because he was
cafeteria.
getting shit done.
Yeah, he got
actually
food
was
from
like,
the cafeteria. Like that's all he
Yeah,
did.
no, he was actually like doing things.
I
Like he
know.
had responsibilities.
Yeah.
Tank just bitched the whole time.
Tank-
I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
He's
this.
rogue.
I do have one Tank quote, but I won't. I won't read it unless you get
Unless
to
I,
it
okay.
first. But there was one moment where you find out that Tank's son
Yes, that was one of my favorites.
is actually trapped in a zone, and they haven't rescued him yet. You know, because in all the snatch and grabs that they've done on their motorcycles, they haven't fucking rescued Tank's son.
Right.
You know,
Hey,
which
anybody
he seems
else?
yeah, everybody else, no problem. But the Tank's son, they've not rescued him yet. But I wrote I wrote that like I watched the episode and I said this out loud. They just go, "Don't you know, Tank's son is trapped in the zone?" And out loud, like while watching this today, I just yelled at the computer and just went, "Good!" Like,
Leave them.
what a terrible human I
Here's the
am.
thing, though. The best part of this, okay, so unless you watch it out of order, so they actually mentioned this in the pilot, but you'll remember that we watched that fourth because it was the fourth episode. So
Right.
the first time you're watching this, it's so weird because, okay, there's a girl, she's disabled, she can't walk, so she has a hover wheelchair that becomes a running, oh, I can't believe I just said that, running gag throughout this episode. um, that's terrible.
Ah, you fuck.
But anyway, so Tank goes after, and it's her and her sister. Her sister's worthless. So Tank, she doesn't do shit. She doesn't do anything. She just lays there. Tank runs into the zone against orders, and he goes to pick up the older girl, and the girl, he's got her in like under one arm, and he goes. Now remember, you don't know anything about Tank's background at this point. This is like the first time you're learning anything about him. He picks up the one girl. She goes, "Don't worry about me. Get my sister." And he goes, he picks up the other girl. He's like, "I have both of you. Tank doesn't leave children behind ever again," and just runs the fuck off. And I lost it because it was just like such a weird thing for him to say.
God.
And then later, yes, whatever. They tell you that Tank's son is still in the zone because his team is fucking awful.
Mm.
Two more Tank quotes. Can I give you two more because I love him so much?
Sure.
Okay.
And if yeah,
And
all
then
right.
and then we'll get
I
wrapped
have
up
two
here.
potential quotes if you miss them.
Okay.
So
One is basically the Zone Riders show up and they see the Black Widows messing with somebody else. So Tank just like busts in. He's like, "Time to play with us, Doomkoffs," and it's just so stereotypical and just so bad that I cracked up. Another one was after Tank got the girls back to, you guessed it, the hospital, and he stops. He's like, "I
yes.
have to stop at the gift shop," which is great. And he returns to the room and he just busts in. He's like, "I brought you flowers and a pound
I'm
puppy."
Bobby. I wrote
Oh
that.
my god, I'm like crying right
Did
now
you
because
did you get did you get the one at the end of this is episode 3? Did you get the one at the end of episode 3? He goes, "All should be free, especially children."
especially children. He is really hung up on these kids, man. There was a moment too where it's like it's not enough that he said pound puppy. Like the camera, the animated fucking camera, zooms in on the face of this detailed, carefully drawn pound puppy just laying on the side of the bed.
Yeah, I mean,
Ah,
like Taka was
yep,
responsible for Pound Puppy,
exactly.
so
So
it was a tie-in.
early product placement in an animated series.
Oh my
Holy
god.
shit, dude.
Do you have Are there any more priceless tank quotes?
Ah,
I have one quote from the general.
you do. Oh, I think I know which one it is, but
It's
please.
the beginning of episode
Okay.
4, where the general is talking to the pilot who is delivering the whatever uh
Neutron 90.
the Neutron
Right.
90, and he just goes, "We're looking forward to getting your little package." And like it was in the same inflection, and I was like, "Oh, sweet
Oh,
Jesus,
what is he about to get?
sweet Jesus,
Ooh,
he's getting
buddy.
that package."
But that like same
Fuck.
colonel or general or whatever it was, he has some of the greatest like deliveries. I basically wrote down that he was George Bush, just like in charge of this team. Because every once in a while he's kind of a Texan, he's kind of a woo gunslinger, woo.
Yeah, every once in a while,
Every once in a while, and then
it's just
he says he's another one that has a dialogue that it sounds like he's going to say something profound, and then it just is just like a wet fart that just like finishes out. Because at one point when they're talking to Donovan and he gives him the intel, he goes, "Well, I hope you're right, Colonel, because," and he kind of pauses, and he goes, "We're gonna bet that you are," and it's like, well, wait a minute, what the fuck does that mean?
like I mean,
You had nothing
oh man,
else? You got nothing else there? Oh boy. This see
it's
now
just
this is why I enjoyed this show because it is just it's bad. It's fucking hilarious. There's a lot of really, really bad one-liners and quotes, and it's not terrible to watch. Like it's not super grating to just sit there and watch it. I enjoyed watching it.
Okay.
I don't think I'd
Mm.
pay for it, but I enjoyed watching it. So thankfully, you can find these.
You can
Yeah.
find all 65 episodes for free on
Hey,
YouTube.
you know what you can't find
So
really?
what?
Any Rule 34 stuff. I really didn't see anything out there. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Well, make it happen.
Make it happen there, DeviantArt with Tank.
Uh,
Yeah,
Make
buddy.
it get there. Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
So Dave, are you saying that you recommend?
I'm gonna recommend checking this out only because it's pretty obscure, which is what we aim for here. And if you haven't seen it before, watch at least episode 4 and then episode 1. I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. I like this show. There were moments of this where the character, and I don't even know. I don't know if it was in part just maybe like the dubbing, or just the quality of uploading the
Oh, it
video
was bad. The one that I
for
watched
free.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of them were really bad. They were really hard to
It's
watch. So
basically
like
a
if you
dude with a camcorder on his like computer screen, and he keeps moving it around, and it keeps like.
Oh no, I wasn't even watching that.
Oh, I watched that.
Like
That was really bad.
I was watching a bunch that were like actually like well done, but the problem was is like the voices, like whenever they put on their
Yeah.
helmets, like it almost became like impossible to hear some of the things that they were
Oh,
saying
okay.
like under that the helmets, and like I don't know, sometimes like Tank got like really weird Bane voice.
Yeah.
Um and so like I got frustrated with some of that. I mean, I would watch episode 4 like Dave mentioned just to kind of get like a flavor of what this show has to offer
Right.
and sort of the insanity that occurs. I would definitely watch the. I would definitely listen to the theme song. I don't know what it is about this theme song. Just
It's
really
real good.
like I liked it. I liked it a
There's
lot.
something I feel like they ripped off something else that was super similar and was like really popular, like some sort of like A-Team type action show on TV or MacGyver or
Yeah,
something that was similar enough that we're just like, oh yeah, totally know this, but I don't know, it's good. I enjoy it.
but I mean, I have a really hard time, just kind of like understand like understanding that like this guy who's trying to enslave mankind, like that, like he doesn't kill any of the people who are in the zones,
No,
because like that's the people he recruits for his slave army. But I mean, everybody who's in that slave army is sort of suffering from the same like
AIDS,
lackadaisical like
AIDS.
like ennui that like everybody
Sean
else
thinks
is
it's
suffering.
ennui. I think it was a metaphor for
It's
AIDS.
like
He disagrees, but I'm gonna go with AIDS.
so like they suffer from this
Malaise, yeah,
from
depression, skin condition.
and so like I mean this I feel like this whole fucking show could be solved with like Zoloft, and like I don't
Yeah.
feel like when I think about that I'm just kind of like I call bullshit on the whole thing.
Or just
So
like fluoride
I
in the water system, or just something simple like that. Like
yeah
like a simple antibiotic or something. Probably take
like
care of it.
if the solution to your problem is to not be in the area of the fucking problem,
Yeah.
like that's not a show.
No.
There's no stakes there. Like, they have like this. They have this kid that like walks into it like in what
Episode
was it?
4,
Episode
which is the
4.
pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, in episode 4, and then he's just not able to like get back out. Like it's just like just turn around.
Oh my God, we didn't tell them this. We didn't tell them. Should we
Oh
save it? Should we just
God.
tease them and tell them to
So
watch that, or should we tell them what it is?
yeah. Just watch episode 4 because there's this weird creepy pipe organ music
Yeah, and you're like, well,
that is
where's
going on.
that coming
Boy
from?
walks into the zone, and you're just like, I don't understand what's going on here.
And that is an
It it,
amazing reveal.
it gets.
It's
I laughed so hard because it was it was really a what the fuck
yeah,
moment because I was like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding
but it
me.
was so fun, so fun. Definitely check
So
that out.
so check out Earth's Most whatever
Yeah,
soldiers.
whatever, soldiers. Earth's only
What
soldiers left, because everyone else is dead.
everybody else is watching Rocky 12 or
Rambo
Rambo
12,
12.
probably Rocky 12 too at that point. $30
Alright.
though. It's an expensive movie. We're getting there.
Hey Dave,
What's up, buddy?
if I wanted to find you on the internet,
Yeah.
what are you up to? What are you doing?
Oh, well, now that we're in the holidays here, pretty much all the shows that I review over at Collider.com are in their mid-season finales. I'll tell you what, The Flash and Arrow this week were top-notch. Excellent, excellent shows.
I am excited to watch them on Hulu
Yeah, I don't want to
this
spoil
weekend.
anything for you because there's lots to be spoiled, but
Cool.
really cool, really well done. The CW, I don't know how you did it, but you did it, so keep it up.
Well done.
Yeah, so pretty much the only show still running that I review. I do Gotham, The Flash, Arrow, The Walking Dead, and Constantine. That last one on NBC is the only one that's still kind of just pushing through the holidays here. So I'll keep reviewing that over at Collider.com. But feel free to come on by and check out my previous recaps and drop me a line. Sean, I know you are pretty busy over the next couple of weeks with some shows, so why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Oh well, you're probably listening to this when it comes out
Yeah.
on the this Saturday, which would be the 13th. If you listen to this and you're like, "Hey, I'm looking for something to do," you should come by the Source Theater in Washington D.C. At 10 p.m. I'm going to be performing improv with my group Nox. That's Nox exclamation point. We'll be performing there on the 13th and the 20th. All of our shows are at 10 o'clock, and you can find tickets on witdc.org.
And I believe Laura Barber is going to be participating in that as well. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
last week, if you listen to the Herculoids episode, I performed with Laura, and she'll be performing with me. Yeah, on the 13th, not the 20th,
Excellent,
but
excellent.
she will be around, and she is wonderful.
Another shout out to Laura. We also have a shout out to our buddy Matt Barron, who could not be with us tonight. But if you are interested in chatting up Mr. Barron, you can find him on Twitter at Bag of Sandwiches, which is the best. Sean, where can the folks find you on social media?
Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
And you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Claw MD. If you're interested in more about Saturday morning cartoons, you can also find us on Twitter at Morning Tunes. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also find us on our webpage where we post things like, oh, I don't know, the Spiral Zone theme song and a character guide, which is the best, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. You can also check out all kinds of craziness over at our Tumblr page at SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. I can't wait to see what's up there for this show, to be honest with you.
I need to put some stuff up
Oh man, I
before.
can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Just do a lot of tank gifs and all
Oh
kinds of
boy.
fun stuff. If you want to drop us a line, let us know how we're doing, let us know what we can improve, or just let us know what shows you'd like to hear covered on the show. Just send us an email over at SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. If you want to listen to us each and every week, you can do so through iTunes and Stitcher. We have both podcast suppliers covered there. I think that's pretty much it for tonight. We ran a little long because this show was nuts and we had a fun
Oh
time making
boy.
fun of it.
Jeez.
Hey, guess what, buddy? It's my
But
pick next week.
it is. And Dave, what are you gonna pick for us next
I'm
week?
going to pick the character I was named after. Not really. Um, and I was only ever called this once, I think, in school. I was called Davy Crockett a lot, which was
Really?
fine. Yeah, because kids are stupid. There's really nothing else. Like, what else are you gonna call Davy?
Kids
Like
are dum dums.
Davy Crockett. David the Gnome. We're gonna cover
All
David the
right,
Gnome.
David the
I,
Gnome.
I I remember this fondly. I remember David and his wife. I don't remember her name. The little gnomes. I remember Swift the fox. I
Yeah.
remember the forest trolls. But that's about it, man. I'm actually pretty anxious to go back and check this one out. We may have a guest speaker contributor with
Oh,
us next
great.
week. We're still trying
Wonderful.
to lock that down, so we will let you know. We'll tease you. But yeah, we're gonna do David the Gnome. It's gonna be fun. Old Nickelodeon show.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I remember watching this on television as well,
yeah.
on Nick as well.
It'll
So,
be nice. And
yeah.
from what I understand, one of the more wholesome shows that we've probably covered on this
Oh
show.
boy.
So it's going to be different. We will see what it's
Ah,
like.
God,
But yeah, we want to thank you guys for listening. If you check out the Spiral Zone, be sure to let us know. But until next time, I'm going to let Sean take us out. So once again, thank you for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons.
Dave, Baron, we ride!